एक किताब है, there's a book actually, which I'm not going to make a part of the course, but I will very highly recommend that you should read it. It is called Made to Stick. Is there anybody who has read that book? Made to Stick? If you haven't, you must. Okay? Chip Heath and Dan Heath. It's a phenomenal book, you know. It talks about the fact that there's a checklist of 6 things, that if you put those 6 things into a message, the person listening to that message or reading that message will never forget it. And I think there's a 20 years research behind that. So if you want to lead people, if you want to lead a company, this is a very important book. In that book he says that if you want a message to be driven home, so one of the things in that 6 things is that there has to be a story. You must tell a story. So, a story. I would like to have you compare what happens when you're using a powerful framework versus a poor framework in terms of balancing of roles. So, a few years ago, someone came to my training and so the rule is that if you become a Timelenders family member, which means if you take any one of our workshops, then you can come to us for counseling. And I decided from the beginning that I will never charge for counseling. The issue with charging for counseling is that if you start to charge for counseling, number one, people don't have money to pay. And number two, then you actually want to keep time and you don't want to give extra time because you're charging. So it's a mess. The counseling sometimes requires a lot of time. Now the issue with the medical profession today is that it has become so commercialized. When a patient walks into a doctor's office, maybe all he needs is counseling. But the doctor doesn't have that time. So they just write you a medicine, prescribe you medicine. Whereas maybe a couple of hours of talking to that person would have resolved the problem. So now you have also become Timelenders family members, you can also come to us. So the best way is you send me an SMS saying that I'd like to discuss something and I'll give you an appointment, and then you have that option available. So anyway, this person calls me after maybe a few weeks and said, Mr. Suleman, I'd like to talk to you. There's a challenge I'd like to discuss. I said, okay. So he came to my house and we sat. He said, my challenge is that whenever I stand up to speak in public, I become nervous. So since you're a public speaker, can you help me overcome that nervousness? I said, okay, no problem. So my rule is that whenever somebody comes to me, I will do I call it a profiling. So I'll write a profile. I'll ask him, what schools he went to, what work he has done, what family he's coming from. So in psychology, you call it a psychoanalysis. So you do a psychoanalysis, and then you really understand what the person is trying to say. So I said, okay. So I started asking him about his life. So he told me this very interesting story. He said that my father, we actually grew up in a village in Punjab. And So we had two brothers and a sister. So when we were very young, our mother died, and our father got married again. So this new mother that came into our life happened to be a tyrant, that proverbial stepmother. And she used to abuse us, and she used to mistreat us, and we really suffered. So I said, but what about the father? Why would he not intervene? He said, the father, he was afraid of our mother. Again, a very common phenomena, A lot of husbands are really scared of their wives. Really scared. So he said, so what we did is that when we became teenagers, so we moved out to, dorms to study. So in Punjab, it's very common. Say in Multan, you'll have a lot of dorms where kids will come from the villages and they'll stay in those dorms and they'll study. So in Punjab, it's very common. We have people from Punjab. You agree with what I'm saying? So he said, I moved out, my brother moved out, but our younger sister actually got stuck. So she was only 7 or 8, and our mother would make her wash dishes in the night with cold water, and she was forced to like wash clothes, and true Cinderella story. So when she grew up a little bit and she became a teenager, we also had her move to a girls' hostel, and she started studying. So she went to another city. And he said that when she moved out to a dorm or hostel, our father never visited her, ever. He would not send her money. So both of us started working. So by the time she came to college, these guys were doing jobs, right? So we used to send her money. We used to take care of her. And so that is what was going on. So he said that one day, he said there was a time when, I got posted to another town. So I was preparing to move, as part of my work requirement. And I got a letter from my sister. In that letter she had written, I'll say it in Urdu and I'll translate. She had written, भाई मैं ज़िंदगी से बेजार हो चुकी हूँ, आप फ़ौरन आके मुझसे मिलें. Brother, I'm fed up with this life, so please immediately come and meet me. So he said, I thought that, Eid is very close. So what I'll do is I will go on, make my move, the role of a breadwinner, right? Moving, job. And at Eid when she will come, I'll then talk to her at that time. There's no point in going and visiting her. It's just like 3, 4, 5 days, whatever, Eid is coming. So Eid came, she came, and he said that, there was so much commotion happening in Eid. There's so many people who were visiting that we were so busy in those 3, 4 days that I didn't get a chance to talk to her, and she went back. Mother Teresa has said something very interesting. She has said that being unwanted, uncared for, and unloved is the biggest poverty in this world, and it is more painful than having no food to eat. Quote unquote. Being unwanted, uncared for, and unloved is the biggest poverty in this world, and it is more painful than having no food to eat. So this girl was really poor, right? I think she was 17 or something, 16, 17, something like this, the age. or 18, I don't know exactly. He said, well, she went back, and after a few days, I got a call from the college or hostel that your sister has jumped out of the window. And he said that when she jumped, there was a, these steel staircases, spiral staircases. So she actually fell on that. And she died. And when he was telling me the story, he broke down and he wept. And his hands were shaking. And he told me that, Suleman Sahab, I still have that letter. And I look at that letter all the time and I wish that I had gone. A poor framework will give you poor results. Whereas a superior framework would have said that this is the MPL of a job and this is the MPL of a brother. So when the father has abandoned the girl, so Islamically even, the brother takes on that position of a father. So so he should have said, okay, look, here my MPL is being violated, and this MPL is not being violated. He could have delayed that, and he should have gone. Now you tell me, do you think I have a solution to his inability to speak in public? Do you think I can go back and rectify this history? Now I understood what the problem was. And you know what? I was not able to help him. He still is living with that challenge. And there is some verses of poetry and I will not translate them. That's your job. And be careful, you might get one of these questions in the quizzes. Translate this Urdu poetry. The poetry goes like this: हमेशा देर कर देता हूँ मैं हर काम करने में. And our friends, our virtual students who do not understand Urdu, make a friend with a Pakistani and have him translate it for you. हमेशा देर कर देता हूँ मैं हर काम करने में, ज़रूरी बात कहनी हो, कोई वादा निभाना हो, उसे आवाज़ देनी हो, उसे वापस बुलाना हो, हमेशा देर कर देता हूँ मैं हर काम करने में, मदद करनी हो उसकी या उसकी ढारस बंधाना हो, बहुत देरीना रस्तों पे किसी से मिलने जाना हो, हमेशा देर कर देता हूँ मैं हर काम करने में, बदलते मौसमों की सैर में दिल को लगाना हो, किसी को याद रखना हो, किसी को भूल जाना हो, हमेशा देर कर देता हूँ मैं हर काम करने में, किसी को मौत से पहले किसी गम से बचाना हो, हकीकत और थी कुछ उसको ये जाकर बताना हो, हमेशा देर कर देता हूँ मैं हर काम करने में. किसी को मौत से पहले किसी गम से बचाना हो, हकीकत और थी कुछ उसको ये जाकर बताना हो, हमेशा देर कर देता हूँ मैं हर काम करने में. There are certain times, if we do not take the right step, then it may become too late. I hope I and you, meaning we, understand that. कदम गलत उठा था एक राह शौक में, कदम गलत उठा था एक राह शौक में, मंजिल तमाम उम्र मुझको ढूंढती रही. कदम गलत उठा था एक राह शौक में. That one step, that one misstep in the heat of emotions. मंजिल तमाम उम्र मुझको ढूंढती रही. That the destination kept searching for me but could not find me. फिर यूं हुआ कि कोई भी मंजिल न मिल सकी, फिर यूं हुआ कि कोई भी मंजिल न मिल सकी, बचकर जरा चले थे तेरी राह गुजर से, बचकर जरा चले थे, तारिक साहब जरा, ज्यादा नहीं, बचकर जरा चले थे तेरी राह गुजर से. A superior framework, superior results. Poor framework, poor results. Story number 2. So when I was at LUMS, so now I have this huge class size. So what happened is that I don't know about you guys, I think it's not, because it's not an elective course, right? So it was an elective course. So what would happen is, the first week and a half would be add and drop, right? So there's somebody here from LUMS, right? Who is from LUMS? No one is? Junior batch, okay. So what happens in the add and drop period, we all know, we have all played that game. The professor is going to come in and is going to pretend that he is a bad guy. Tough course, this and that. So the faint-hearted people will drop out. So few people will remain, and then the professor has a lesser load and is beautiful, right? But the issue with us, me, Miskeen, is that I have a vision. So for the first week and a half, I told them all sort of stories. It was fun, it was nice, and I kept telling them grades are not an issue. Grade, that's not an issue. And I really meant it. So mashallah, the class size grew, the word spread, and everybody wants to be in the course. And we had a limit of 70 kids, and almost like 150, 170 kids want to sign up. So they said, no. There's a program they have called Zambil. So Zambil said no. So I said, okay, no problem. So somebody said to me, what's the issue? I said, the issue is there's no more place. There's only 70 seats. So that guy was a LUMS graduate. So he said, Suleman Sahab, you really want to teach? I said, yeah. Go to the administration and tell them, give me 2 sections. I said, really? So I went. I said, give me 2 sections. They said, are you sure? I said, yeah. So you're going to take all of that load? I said, yeah. Quizzes, homework. I said, yeah. So we have 2 sections. So 140 kids. So I said, okay, now you can. Okay, now LUMS actually told me, no, you have to have office hours. You have to declare your office hours. At least 4 hours a week. I no issue. Office hours. Now, here we have a lot of offices. There we had an issue, so I'm sharing this office with Dr. Zishan. Yeah? So, mashallah, kids started to come. And then there's a whole new world that's opening to me. Because everybody has a problem. So, somebody is trying to kill his father. Somebody is upset with the mother. Somebody has this issue, somebody has that issue. So those 4 hours became less. So I started giving them a 45-minute slot. So a day came that from Fajr to Isha, every 45 minutes would be booked. Every single 45 minutes will be booked, to the extent that I used to walk for an hour and a half, and that hour and a half started getting filled. So I made a system, in the computer that you can go in and log in. So I made a rule. So if you want, this is the slot available, so you'll have to come with your joggers and walk with me. And then, so when I would finish the first 45 minutes, the other guy would be standing, my time, But then I had to be very careful. I said, okay, no girls in that slot, right? Imagine the story that will come on Facebook and Geo, Mauli Saab, walking, So somebody said to me, sir, I still need time. I said, I don't have time. But somebody has to drop you to the airport, right? I'll drop you to the airport. I said, okay. Then somebody said, I'll pick you up from the airport. So one day I arrived at this Lahore airport, and my student is there to pick me up, and she's driving me to college. So then I made a rule. No girls can pick me up or drop me. No girls can be, in that place. And the stories were very, very interesting, right? So I'll give you just one story, and then so you can get, and then I'll tell you the real story. Sir, I said, what happened? So I said, I'm really amazed that you took the very morning slot. You guys don't get up so early. She said, no sir, actually I was so anxious to meet you that I did not actually sleep. I said, wow, it must be very serious. I said, what's the problem? So she said, sir, I said, what? Sir, you told me that you said that we can come to you for all sort of assistance. I said, yes. She said, sir, actually, I've developed feelings for this guy. So can you get me married to him? I said, okay. So then I'm thinking, she's not asking me to get her a date, right? She's asking me to get her married. So that's a pretty Sharia compliant request. So I said, okay, I can help you with that. So who's the guy? She said, well, he studies at UET. I said, UET? Now, when you're teaching in a university, you tend to, own, I shouldn't say own, but kind of, you tend to own that place, right? Yeah. So I got so upset. How are UET guys, praying over Lum's girls? So how did he come here? She said, no. So he didn't come here. Actually, I met him at a party. I said, okay, so I want to marry him. So I said, okay, if you want to marry him, then what's the problem? Go ahead and do it. I can help you. So I thought she wanted me to talk to her parents or something. So I said, I'll do it. I'll just talk to the parents. I'll say, your daughter wants to marry this guy, and if he's right, just get her married. I mean, that's the best way, She said, no, actually, I can talk to my parents myself. I said, then what's the problem? She said, the problem is, they said, look, we are from one town. So I don't want to mention the town because you might actually. She said, we are from that particular town, and my father is an industrialist and is the member of the Chamber of Commerce. That guy's father is also a member of the Chamber of Commerce of that town. In the Chamber of Commerce, there are two groups. And there's a huge enmity between these groups. There's blood between them. And my father heads one group, and his father heads the other group. So I said, well, this looks like an Indian movie. So I said, why didn't you know this before? So what I actually wanted to say was, where is your vision? Why don't you do research before you fall in love? But I didn't want to say that. I said, didn't you know this before? She said, no, sir, I found that out afterwards. I said, okay. I said, if that's the case, then don't marry him. Because, there's something called pragmatism, being practical. So it's impractical to get into this mess. She said, no, sir, and she started to tear up, tears. No, sir, I really love him. And I said, okay. I said, look. I said, listen, there's a rule I would like to teach you. She said, what? I said, it is really not necessary to marry the person that you love. Actually, you should not marry the person that you love. You should marry a person that you do not love, and then fall in love with that person. So it's not necessary to fall in love with the person that you are falling. It's not necessary to marry the person that you have fallen in love with. And she said, sir, aisa na bolein, sir, please, aisa na bolein, sir, please. Don't say that. I said, okay. So I said, okay. So you want me to give you a solution? She said, yeah. So I said, what standard do you want me to use? She said, what do you mean, sir? I said, look, we teach a course, it's called negotiations. And we say that before you negotiate on the substance, negotiate on the standard. So this morning I'm signing a contract, a consulting contract. So I told that guy that today's session is going to be free. But the next session will not happen till you sign a contract and give me in advance. Teresa? Because you learn through your life, right? Otherwise, people take your service and they'll just disappear. So I said, what standard do you want me to use? She said, I still don't understand. I said, look, we can use the Punjabi standard, the Pakistani standard, the Western standard, the Indian standard, or the Islamic standard. Which one do you want me to use to give you a solution? She said, sir, what do you recommend? I said, looking at your situation, the Islamic standard will really help you out. She said, then you can use the Islamic standard. But my problem is that I don't know anything about Islam. So I said, okay, I'll give you some books to read. And you will not believe how serious she was in reading those books. She was more serious about reading those books than her textbooks. Because she was in love, Anyway, so the first thing I told her is, listen, this guy has to do our workshop. Because I thought that if his vision is clear, maybe he'll say no. She said, okay. And she convinced this guy, and he traveled all the way to Islamabad to do the workshop. Then she called me, sir, he has done the workshop. I said, okay, next. Number 2, I have to meet him. She said, okay. Would you believe that I was doing a training of Tetra Pak, which is at a distance from Lahore, and I was staying at Tetra Pak facility, and this guy shows up, ties up. MashaAllah, 6 feet tall, extremely handsome, extremely rich, driving a very expensive sports car, with a small beard and very religious. He came, we were talking, he said, Suleman Sahib, what about prayer? I said, yeah. We went, we prayed together, and I said, my God, and extremely shy. I said, where did this guy come from? Out of books. And no wonder this girl is crazy, Amazing. Subhanallah, And that story still continues. But you get the idea what sort of counseling was happening? Another day, this girl comes. Sir, that's what happened. Sir, can you help me get married? I said, sure. What's the problem? She says, sir, the problem is that, I like him, he likes me. I told him to propose to my parents, and he wouldn't propose. I said, really? She said, yeah. I said, well, that's not right. Yeah, it's not right. See, he's not proposing. So you have to, sir, tell him to propose. I said, who's the guy? Sir, he's in your class. I said, really? So I said, okay, then call him. Okay, she picked up the phone. Suppose I won't name him, but I'm still in touch with him. And he's watching these classes also. But of course, you will not know who he is. Okay? Nobody will find out. And she says, suppose his name is, say, Ahmed. Ahmed! Come over here, sir wants to talk to you. I said, my God, this guy. So this Ahmed arrives. And my God, I could not believe this guy. I thought, with a beard, extremely humble, extremely nice. He walks in so shy. And I said, what happened? Sir, And I started feeling, is this the girl? Or is this the boy? And is this the girl? Or this? The roles were... So she's sitting like this. Emma is sitting like this. Emma was, sir. I said, why don't you propose? sir, I would like to propose, and sir, but I said, what do you mean, sir? Why don't you propose? Sir, I talked to my father, he got so upset, he got so disturbed that he fell off the bed. Or something, fell off the chair. I said, Ahmed, listen. I said, I sympathize with that he fell off, whatever, but Ahmed, that's not going to work. I mean, you should propose. I will propose to her, but sir, I want to wait. I said, why do you want to wait? Yes, sir, tell him to propose. So I said, okay. I said, Ahmed, come on, be a man, okay? Okay, sir, I will talk to my parents. I'm going home in the break, and I'll talk to them, and they'll propose. I said, okay, please, Ahmed, don't do this. And you, mashallah, are so religious. You are in the masjid 5 times, and yes, sir. And this girl had a hijab on also. I said, okay, Ahmed. She said, thank you, sir, I really appreciate it, I'll keep you posted. Goes. Then 2 days later, the girl shows up. Sir, I said, what? Sir, can you help me get married? I said, okay. I said, which section are you in? She said, I'm in none of your sections. I said, really? Sir, actually, my friend is in your class, and she said that I should go and talk to you. So I said, what's the problem with this guy? She said, sir, he is not proposing, So I'm thinking, subhanAllah, what's wrong with these guys? They don't propose. So I said, well, another guy I have to. So I said, okay, who is this guy? She said, I can't tell you his name, sir, plus, I said, you can't tell me his name? Then she said, I can't tell you his name, but maybe I should. But if you can talk to him without mentioning me, and I said, yeah, sure. Sir, he is in your class actually, and his name is Ahmed. I said, oh my God, it's the same guy. So I said, okay. She walks out, and I call him, come here. He shows up. I said, Ahmed. He said, yes, sir. I said, who is this girl? Sir, I said, what do you mean? I said, Ahmed, look at you. I mean, what are you doing? He said, yeah, actually, sir, I don't want to marry her, and I actually recommended, I was the one who told her to come to you. So, sir, if you can just convince her to just forget me. I said, you are a dangerous guy. I said, what are you, I said, can't you just, sir, I did this before I became religious. Sir, see, this is the old story going on. And every day, I mean, this is just I'm giving you a little bit of a flavor. Every day there's huge issues going on. I can write a book on that 1 year. I should. So, one fine day, now coming to the real story. Sir, yeah. Sir, I would like to meet you. I said, you can't, because I'm not in the university. I'm going to meet someone, and, sir, can I meet you after you come back? I said, I can't, because I'm sleepy in the night. Sir, what about Fajr? I said, no, Fajr, I have a flight to catch. So what about before Fajr? I said, no. I said, I can't, So why don't you just sign up for the next week, and I'll meet you next week? No, sir, it's very urgent, sir, I need to talk to you. I said, listen, I cannot do it. Next week, when I come in, but I used to fly every week to Lahore, yeah? So every Sunday I'll fly, Monday and Wednesday would be the class. So Wednesday night or Thursday morning I'll fly back. I said, no, sir, it's very urgent. I said, look, I have a driver driving the car. It's a half an hour or 40 minutes drive. Tell me what's the issue on the phone. Now comes the story. Like they say that facts are stranger than fiction. He said, sir, we are 2 brothers. Our father we live in Lahore. And when we were young, our mother died. Oh, no, sorry. When we were young, our parents had a divorce. So our mother went to the village to stay with her brothers, my uncles, Mamu, and my father was here. So he did not allow us to go with the mom. We were kept in Lahore, and our father married another lady. This new mother who came happened to be extremely nice. Now there's another, see, all stepmothers are not bad. She took good care of us, and we have another 2 or 3 brothers and sisters, siblings from the new mother also. And but we were not allowed to meet our mother. So when we became like teenagers, so we started meeting our mother secretly. We slip out, go to the village, meet her, whatever. And now, alhamdulillah, I am here at LUMS and my brother is studying at UET, which is University of Engineering and Technology in Lahore. And sir, what has happened is that for the past like 2-3 weeks, our mother has been calling us and she's saying that I'm ill, get me treated. So I said, then what's the problem? Get her treated. No, sir, the issue is that my uncles are saying that we do not have the money at this time, so we will treat her after a few days. There's some event going on, some marriage or something, so we'll treat her after the marriage, Now our father has found out, so my father has said to my uncles, being a wealthy man, that okay, I will pay for the treatment. So the uncles have taken that as an affront or an insult, and they say, no, we cannot allow you to treat her. She's not your wife. She's not your responsibility. She's our responsibility. So I said, then why don't you guys do it? Don't you have the money? They said, yeah, we have the money. But if we go now to get her treated, we'll get into trouble with our father and we'll get into trouble with our uncles. So what should we do? Now the issue is that if you give now this guy has gone almost, it was almost halfway through the workshop, to the class. So he has gone through the MPLs and the role, and you understand? So when you give somebody the right framework is going to pinch you, right? So when we do our trainings or workshops or classes, there's a dosage level in our class. It goes from 25 milligrams all the way to 750 milligrams. And I said to myself, oh, it's an opportunity. I should give him at least a 550 milligram dose. Because when a Sahabi came to Prophet ﷺ and he said, Ya Rasulullah, who amongst people has the biggest right upon me? The Prophet ﷺ said, your mother. He said, who after that? What did he say? Your mother. He said, who after that? He said, your mother. He said, who after that? He said, your father. The rights of a mother in the Islamic framework is phenomenal. I mean, you can't even think what it is. It's unbelievable, bhai. If somebody wants to mess up his life and his akhirah, life hereafter, you mess with your mother and you are for sure gone. No reprieve. It's so sensitive. You understand? So the framework is very clear. I said, for God's sake, go and get her to the hospital. I said, no law can stop you. Islam cannot stop you. He said, but sir, our father will get upset. I said, okay, let him get upset. There are times when your father can be made upset. He said, but the uncles, there will be a fight. I said, fight. Jhagda ho jayega, sir, jhagda, ladai. I go, okay. There are times in your life when you should fight. Life is not about peace all the time. I used to think that way many, many years ago, but then reality set in. Life is not about peace all the time. When I went to public school after Bath, you know what happened? A guy came to me and I was in 8th grade. He said, okay, let me teach you how to fight. Street fight. I said, are you crazy? He said, yeah, you have to learn this to survive. I said, no, I don't need to learn this to survive. Good kids don't fight. I said, no, that's not right. Because my parents always told me, you never fight, you never do these things. Then a week later, what happened? I just got into an argument with this Pathan guy. It's just an argument. And he jumped me, and I did not know anything, and he picked me up and he threw me. And I was flying in the air. And I realized that being too lightweighted is a problem. And then I went to this guy and I said, okay, what were you saying? He said, I'll teach you. He said, okay, Suleman. And he taught me a lesson that I've never forgotten till today, in 8th grade. He said, okay. He said, look, the first step is that you have to decide whether you have to fight or not. If you decide that you must not fight, then you should turn your back and run very fast. And whatever the guy says, yells, you don't listen, you keep running. For example, he says, be-ghairat, darpoke, flana, all of these words, you coward, whatever, you keep listening, but you keep running. And if you decide that you have to fight, the moment you make the decision, you pick up anything that comes in your hand, a chair, a table, a stone, and you take it. Is it closed? You take it, and then you smash it in his head, like that. I said, what? I said, are you serious? He said, yeah. Because see, Suleman, you have to make a decision. Either it's going to be your head or his head. It should rather be his head. Because whatever the case is, both of you will get detention equally. Because the prefects, what they will do, we don't want to get into who started the fight, whatever, both of you detained. Detention is going to be the equal. So you decide, you want to get stitches or you want him to get stitches? I said, really? He said, yeah. And I learned it even though I thought that this is crazy, but then I realized that that's life. Because what I saw with my eyes is, who really gets into trouble? The one who's in the middle. You try to fight with me and then I will actually, the guy who's undecided is the one who gets into trouble. You understand? Salman? Really understand, huh? So there is a verse of poetry which says, वो लोग बड़े खुशकिस्मत थे जो इश्क को काम समझते थे. वो लोग बड़े खुशकिस्मत थे जो इश्क को काम समझते थे या काम से आशिकी करते थे. हम जीते जी मसरूफ़ रहे, कुछ काम किया कुछ इश्क किया. हम डेडिकेट करें आफरीदी साहब को. दिस इज डेडिकेटेड टू आफरीदी साहब. हाफिज साहब, कुछ लोग बड़े खुशकिस्मत थे जो इश्क को काम समझते थे और काम से आशिकी करते थे. हम जीते जी मसरूफ़ रहे, कुछ काम किया कुछ इश्क किया. इश्क काम के आड़े आता रहा और इश्क से काम उलझता रहा और हमने आखिर तंग आकर दोनों को अधूरा छोड़ दिया. Maham translate. कुछ लोग बड़े खुशकिस्मत, some people are really fortunate, जो इश्क को काम समझते थे, who used to take their passion as their work, या काम से आशिकी करते थे, or they were in love with their work. So they were either taking their passion as their work or they were passionately loving their work. हम जीते जी मसरूफ रहे, we were so busy, कुछ काम किया कुछ इश्क किया, that we spent some time doing work, some time doing passion. And what happened in the end? That we could not complete anything. Neither we could take our passion to its logical conclusion, and neither we could do anything with work. This half-heartedness will get you nowhere. So that's what I told that guy. I said, sometimes in life you have to fight. Fight with your father and fight with your uncles. And I told him, if things get bad, you can always call me. And I really meant it. I said, I'll help you. Because I believed that what I was saying was right. And I told him, what time is it? It was 7 p.m. I said, if I was living in Lahore, and if I had my car, I would have given it to you. But I don't have a car. You get a car and you go now. Get to your mother, get her into a hospital. And I said that if you don't go now, it means all what I've trained you in and taught you in this class has been wasted. That was the 550 milligram. He said, okay, sir. And I said, keep me posted. Now, when you trigger certain things, then you better be responsible, because if something really messes up, you have to be around. So he said, okay, sir. So I get an SMS the next morning. So I came to Karachi and I get an SMS. Sir, we have picked up our mother in the night. We brought her to Lahore and we're going towards the hospital. I got a message again, the evening. Sir, our mother has been admitted to the hospital and they're conducting tests. The next day, sir, there's a liver problem that she has been diagnosed with and she has dengue fever also. The next day, sir, her health is improving. And then 2-3 days, there was silence. I said, Alhamdulillah. Then 4 days after that, I get an SMS, sir, our mother has died. So the next week when I went to teach, now the problem is, he told me I'm this, say, Ahmed. Now there are a number of Ahmeds in that class. So I cannot place that name to the face. So I'm looking in these classes and I said, he must not be here. And he was not there. The week after that, so my first class used to be from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So that class, when I'm walking out of the class, so I heard somebody say, sir. So I looked around, so this guy's walking like this. As-salamu alaykum, sir. I say, yes. Sir, she died. So I said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give her a place in Jannah, may Allah give you patience and stuff like this. He said, yes. I said, Ahmed, tell me, you spent a week with her, right? You and your brother? He said, yes. I said, tell me honestly, was she happy that you were with her? And he said, she was very happy. I said, Alhamdulillah. And he said, what my uncles are saying? They're threatening us and they're saying that we'll take revenge, and they're saying that you took our sister and killed her. I said, Ahmed, relax. If you had not gone, you know what the world would have said? What would the world have said? Farooq sir? The mother was suffering, calling her sons, and they never came. I said, whatever you would have done, people would have said it. So I said, forget it. He said, but they're threatening us and we are carrying weapons now. I said, okay. To carry weapons. And then after a few weeks, I said, how are things? He said, well, nothing happened. I said, I told you. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Now you tell me, a superior framework gives you superior results, right? Just for a second imagine if they had not gone. What would have happened? A lifetime guilt. And not only that, possibly their hereafter would have been devastated. Mother is calling you. Islamic framework says you have to obey. She says you come, you show up.
Even when you are praying, so if she calls you that.
Even if you are praying. Even if you are praying. If you are in prayers, what a big order of Allah. You are praying farz, and your mother calls, and you believe that she is calling you for some assistance. You have to immediately break your prayer and go and attend to her. If you are praying sunnat, okay, and if you are praying farz and she is calling you and you know for sure that she is calling you for something not very significant and she doesn't know that you are praying, then you have to complete your prayer and then go. But if you are praying sunnat or nafil, and if she is calling you and you know for sure it's insignificant, not very significant, and you know for sure she doesn't know that you're praying, still you are ordered to break your prayer and go attend her. If you do not break your prayer, you have violated your MPL and you are sinful. These are the rights of a mother and father. Actually, this is for both, father and mother. This is the right of the mother and father. What are you talking about, man? She's calling you that she's in pain and you have to come to me. Who can stop you? You have to go. You have to show up. Doesn't matter if she's a Muslim, doesn't matter if she's a Christian, doesn't matter if she's an atheist, does not have any bearing. For her, position as a mother will remain intact. You have to show up. Poor framework, poor results. Superior framework, superior results. That is why go and share this knowledge with others. Maybe there's somebody who is at the verge of taking a decision, and you giving that person the right framework will protect that person from a torment of eternity. So that's why when I train people in counseling also. And I'll tell people that listen, that person wants to talk to you. He's asking for 20 minutes. For you, it's 20 minutes, right? But for him, it's his life. That 20 minutes can change his life. So one of our virtual students is from Italy. He's watching this video. So you will not be able to know who he is, okay? So relax. He sent me a message this morning, before, can you imagine, before Fajr? Before Fajr, this message is coming. And he told me that you guys are 3 hours ahead of us, which means there's somewhere in the middle of the night. Sir, I really need your time. Please, give me a Skype appointment. My life is a mess. I saw your videos and I see a ray of hope. So what should I do? I'm busy. What should I do? I should give him time, right?
Yeah.
So 2 stories, right? Okay. Now the point is, whatever happens in our lives, there are certain frameworks in operation. So what I'm going to share with you is very critical, it's very important, and I've made it very, very simple. Yeah? So without getting into too many complications. So what is the definition of an ideology? What's an ideology? You have read it. Come on, guys. What's an ideology? Oh, 1 second. What's an ideology? फैसल तैयार है आपकी slide? Is a belief. Okay. Suleman Sahab, what's an ideology?
So, basic principles that govern your life.
Yeah, can you speak up?
Basic principles that govern your life.
Basic principles that govern your life, okay. So let's look at the definition of ideology. It's in your manual. Aye. Okay. The basic beliefs and guiding principles of a person or group. A systematic body of concepts, especially about human life or culture, a manner or the content or thinking characteristics of an individual, group, or culture. And that's Merriam-Webster dictionary. Take the freeze out. Okay. The basic beliefs and guiding principles of a person or group. So every person or group has an ideology. Nobody can be without an ideology. So to understand what's an ideology, so I'll use a metaphor. So you have a computer hardware. And the world of the hardware is what? The software, right? Now there is an interface between the hardware and the software, which is called the operating system, right? Now the operating system helps the hardware make a sense of its world. Similarly, every human being has an ideology. It's our operating system. The ideology that we have is an interface between us and our world. Through our ideology, we understand what the world is. Our ideology tells us what is loyalty, what is love, what is affection, where did we come from, where we are going, what is success, what is failure. Every person has an ideology. Is that point clear? Because human beings are intelligent beings, and these are questions that come to us in our life, and we all reflect upon them. That is why I read somewhere where a wise person said that sometimes we become very busy in life because we want to avoid such questions. So become so busy that we do not allow ourselves to grapple with these troubling questions. And that is why whenever we are free or ill or in jail, we have to come to grips with these questions. Or driving a cab or a rickshaw. So that's why it might not be a bad idea that we should drive a cab or a rickshaw sometimes, because you get a lot of time to think. Is the point clear? Now ideologies are of two types. One is called what? A defined ideology. A defined ideology is an ideology which is defined. It's in the shelf. So you have a bookshelf and you have these ideologies stacked up. Oh wow, all these ideologies stacked up in your bookshelf. So you can take them out and you can read about them. So you'll have, ideology A, then you have ideology B, you can understand I always loved drawing, right? Then your ideology C, they're all defined. For example, Christianity is an ideology, Catholicism is an ideology, Socialism is an ideology. Hinduism is an ideology. Islam is an ideology. Capitalism is an ideology. Communism is an ideology, right? Then we have something called a personal ideology, which is the installed ideology. So on the bookshelf, so this is your brain. Oh. From a particular angle. Yeah, so that's your brain. Okay? And this brain is housed here. Here. Now, in this brain, do you think that people have one defined ideology completely installed, or a cocktail of ideologies installed? A cocktail, usually. How do you spell cocktail? Like that? Huh? Yeah. A cocktail. And it has its own assertions also. So there was this one European lady in my training, and I said to her, you know, there are people who believe that people who are tall are disloyal. And she said, that's true. I said, what do you mean? She said, that is true. Tall people are disloyal. And I felt like doing like this. I said, but how can? She said, no, I'm telling you. Tall people are disloyal. Now the issue is that she may have come across 2 or 3 tall people who happen to be disloyal, and now she has defined her ideology. Yeah? So when you have this cocktail, you can have a lot of issues because maybe some things are not right. So some people may have incorrect elements in their defined or installed ideology. I'll give you a story, yeah? Now it's a long story, so I'm going to try to cut it a little short, so please don't mind. Once upon a time, I had to take up a job. It all happened because my dad, when he sent me to the US, he said, you will not work, son. Here's a tuition fee, go, focus on studies only. So I went. But being a fundamentalist, alhamdulillah, that I was, I wanted to go to the masjid for 5 times the prayer, for 5 times prayers. The masjid happened to be like 5-6 kilometers away. So I'm walking 6 kilometers, coming back, Fajr, Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. So my roommate said, are you nuts? If you keep walking to the masjid so much, then that's all you'll be doing. I said, yeah, sure. So I went to a garage sale, and for like $25, I've bought a bicycle. So I'm going in Fajr in the bicycle. Now imagine, visualize, Nebraska, center of the US, is a rural area. 1990. Nobody has seen somebody like this. Shalwar kameez, topi, cap, beard, my waistcoats. And in this I'm driving, I'm cycling. So what these Goras do, the whites, what they do, they call them Gora in Urdu. Gora mean white. And this is not a term that I've come up with, this is a term that the whites themselves have come up with. So when you do the census in the US, it says Hispanics, Afro-American and white. And that is why we have the Gora Qabristan. So maybe everybody who is being buried there is not maybe very white in color, but that's the technical terminology, Gora. So what the Goras do is they will let the dogs out in the morning. So when these dogs will look at me, they'll get excited. And they're barking, they're running after me. So my friend said, this is too dangerous. I said, listen, this is America. If a dog bites me, I'll get paid. So they said, well, yes, you will get paid, but what will you do with that payment when you don't have a leg? Because some of them are really crazy dogs. So I got really scared. So I said, okay. So what I did, I took that money, the tuition money, went, bought a car. Halas. And the rule was that by the end of the semester you have to pay. So I bought a car, and I said, now I'm going to take a job without telling my father, make that money, and pay. But if my father were to find out that my son is working at Burger King or McDonald's, or if he is the head of janitorial services, when the parents will call, son, what do you do? What work are you doing in the US? They'll say, oh, mom, I'm head of the janitorial services, which is mean I'm one of the best cleaner, bathroom cleaner, or whatever. So my father would be heartbroken. So I talked to these guys. I said, is there any dignified job? That if my father were to find out, he's not heartbroken. They said, yeah, there is one job, but it's very tough. I said, what? Student security. Being a security officer in the. So some psychologists had told the Lincoln Police Department that if your cars keep coming into the university, it's a huge university, almost 25,000 students, like a small town. So what happens is that the kids, they don't respect police that much, and then there's no respect, and then there's no compliance. So you should have a force on campus which is manned by the students, different uniforms, different name, reporting to the city police with radios. So if there is a very serious issue, then they should call the police. For small petty affairs, they should manage themselves. So the University of Nebraska came up with this idea, and then they formed this force called the Student Security. Now, Goras didn't want to work in the student security because it was very tough. From 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., you have to do rounds of the dorms and all of that. And Nebraska, in the winters, has minus 15 degrees centigrade, temperatures. And if you have, there was somebody here from Canada, right? Who's that guy? Okay. And if you have the wind chill factor, you're talking about minus 25 degrees centigrade. And in that temperature, doing rounds, that's not very romantic. Okay? And especially, the issues are in the weekends. And no Gora wants to work in the weekend because they want to be part of the fun, not part of people who are trying to kill the fun. Yeah? So they were looking for people like me. So there were like a few Pakistanis also in that force. So I said to them, I need to. They said, yeah, you can get a job. So they say, Officer Farron, who is the head of the Lincoln Police Department, is going to interview you. I said, yeah. He said, look, what do you need to tell Farron? He's going to ask you questions. So what are you doing the NCC? So we had the NCC, right? So all of us used to do NCC because of the 20 marks that we used to get in the FSC. And what was NCC? Maybe 1 or 2 parades a month and 2 firings a year with their M15303 US caliber, I don't know what, this crazy rifle. That was all NCC was all about. But technically, NCC meant you are reserve of the Pakistan Army. That's what it actually meant. So he said, whenever Officer Farron is going to ask you if you have any experience, tell him you are reserve of the Pakistan Army. Now, in the US, reserve means something big. If you're reserve of the US Army, it means like 3 to 4 months, a year of training. And you can be called into battle like that. That's a reserve of the US Army. Now, we may not respect our army, but the world respects our army. Modi Sahab respects our army. India respects our army. With all of the hoopla went on, and now finally everything's finished. And what is this guy saying? May Allah give him hidayat. Desperate Modi now plots to run Pakistan dry. Now they're threatening this water treaty. So everybody respects Pakistan Army. So Officer Farron saw me walking like this. He said, okay. I said, I'm applying for a job. He said, do you know that we have a uniform? I said, yeah. So would you have a problem wearing the uniform? I said, no. Oh, okay. So may I ask you, young man, why are you wearing that cap? I said, because I'm Muslim. Oh, okay. Do you have any experience of policing? Or any such thing? I said, yes, I'm a reserve of the Pakistan Army. He said, really? I said, yeah. Okay. You have a job, young man. I have a job. So I'm supposed to show up. So they gave me a uniform and a belt and everything. So I show up. So there's a Chinese supervisor. He says to me, what? You're Suleman? I says, Where is the skull cap? I said, what? Your skull cap, where is that? I said, it's at home. Farron has made your skull cap a part of your uniform. I said, it's not necessary for me to wear that cap. I don't know. He has made that a part of your uniform. You have to show up in that skull cap. I said, listen, that's not necessary. I don't know. It's written here. Chinese are Chinese, man. They have to follow the rules. I said, listen, no, it's here. And you got only 20 minutes. Now, if you're late, it's a big issue. You talk to Farron. So I'm trying to call Farron. Farron is not around. He said, Farron, you got. I said, okay. So I went and brought the cap. So now imagine. I wish I could have taken a selfie at that time. So, cap, the uniform, this whole Motorola radio, this huge, large torch, which is used also to hit, and the keys. So I look, and with my beard, I look extremely intimidating. So now I started to work. So when I started to work, I started to learn a lot of things. One thing that I learned is that these Pakistani guys, they do some crazy stuff sometimes. For example, we used to have a key. So if I'm in a dorm, the dorm will have, say, 600 rooms. They're talking about, if it's a guy's dorm, 1,200 guys or 1,200 girls in that dorm. It'll have a huge cafeteria and everything. There will be one key that will open every single lock in that damn building. It's a fire code, because if something happens, and if somebody gets stuck, the security officer has to run into the fire and rescue that guy. Yeah? So what I found out is that these Pakistani guys go into the cafeteria and eat all night. And the whole day they don't eat. And I said, are you guys doing this? They say, yeah. Oh, that's stealing. You are stealing. Because they're saving money. I said, no, we are not stealing. We are actually damaging the kuffar. So we're doing a religious obligation. I said, there's no religious obligation. This is crazy. And I said, if you're going to do this crazy stuff, what's going to happen is everybody's going to get, tainted. They'll say, all Pakistanis are like that. It's my reputation also. Suleman bhai, please. I said, no, please, Suleman bhai, you know how expensive. I said, I know things are expensive, but you cannot steal, yaar. Stop it. So now there's a whole hoopla going on because I'm now acting. You know me, right? Kya ho raha hai yahan? Remember? And now they respect me also. And then I became the president of the MSA. So, I'm very aggressive. So, I'm going after these guys. So I don't have time to tell you all a book will cover that, yeah? All the crazy stuff these guys used to do. So what they did is, one day I went to another university, there's a small community college. Somebody told me, there are Pakistanis in their community college and they're going wild. I said, really? Where is this? Beatrice. So I got really upset. I said, okay, really? Okay. Took the car, drove 40 miles, show up. So I went there, I said, are there any Pakistanis here? Boys? So one girl looked at me and she ran towards me. Hello! Like that, you know. So this guy shows up. I mean, so everything happened in a fraction of a second. He literally took her hand and stopped her. No, don't do this. He's not like us. I said, okay. So I got the 5, 6 of them. I said, come here. What are you doing? Suleman Bhai. I said, what do you mean Suleman Bhai? Yaar? What are you guys? Who are you? Got introduced. I said, what are you doing here? So they had become very famous as the party boys. So Pakistanis meant party boys, you know. So what these guys were doing, they were telling all the girls, look, this is Suleman. He's not like us. You don't mess with him because he is our priest. Okay, now the priest in the US means, you know what? Celibacy, yeah? Oh, he's your priest. Oh, okay. So the girls will keep a distance because I'm the priest. And they can justify their acts. So one of them, now I'm not going to name you, what happened. After the Chinese, an American girl, you know, became our supervisor. I'll tell you her name because nothing wrong. Should I tell you her name? Okay, I'll tell you. Her name was Kimberly Sons. Kim. Now Kim happened to be, you know, not ugly. You understand? Farooq? Okay? She was very far from being ugly. You know the farthest you can get from being ugly? That was Kim. Okay, the moment Kim became the supervisor, now there's a problem. The problem is now that everybody wants to meet Kim. Now the SOP was that if you're in an area and then and your radio malfunctions, it's very dangerous, yeah? Because in the US campuses, crazy stuff happens. So you have to get the radio replaced immediately. So you will go to the next post, that post will announce radio 21 malfunctioned, okay, and the officer is coming in for a replacement. So Kim will get ready with another radio. So I'm listening. So one night, radio 21 malfunctions, the other night 28, the other night 31, the other night 16. And I'm looking at these radio numbers and I said, how is it that it's all Pakistani radios? They're malfunctioning. So I caught them. I said, guys, yeah, Suleman bhai. I said, what's going on? Why are your radios malfunctioning? No, Suleman bhai, actually, you know, when the radio malfunctions, you have to go and get it. I said, I know you have to go and get it replaced. I know that. But why is your radio malfunctioning? So they'll go in, get the radio replaced, and they'll get 5 minutes with Kim. It was just 5 minutes. I told them, listen. I said, you know, there are certain rules in the US. The US rules, unwritten rules are, you do not flirt with your supervisor. It's considered very bad. I said, if you really want to flirt with somebody, there's so many girls around here, man. Why do you want to flirt with her? Because if you do this, she's going to think I'm like her too, like you guys too. He said, no. You are okay, Suleman bhai, you know, you, because they have told her already, her also, I'm the priest. So I kept telling them not to, and then finally, of course, you get into trouble. This guy comes to me. I will not name him, it's not good. Say, he was Ahmed Khan, for example. There was a Khan. Huh? Suleman bhai, listen, huh?
You have some issues with Ahmed.
Yeah, let's pick up another name. Mohsin Khan. So Mohsin Khan comes to me. Suleman bhai, I say yes. Suleman bhai, I've decided that I'm going to listen to anything and everything that you say. You tell me to pray, I'll start praying. You tell me to keep a beard, I'll keep a beard. Whatever you say, I will do. I said, really, Mohsin? Yeah. I didn't do it. He said, but there's a condition. I said, what? Suleman bhai, can you get me married to Kim? I said, are you crazy, Mohsin? I said, what happened? He said, Suleman bhai, you know, I'm in love with her, Suleman bhai, and I cannot live without her now. I said, I told you, remember? I told you to not do those things, and now you're in trouble. Suleman bhai, please, Suleman bhai, please. Suleman bhai, please, yaar, I will do it. Jo bolenge yaar, main karwa. Then I thought, what is he saying to me? Is he asking for a date or is he asking for marriage? What is he asking for? Marriage. So, fine. So I said, okay. So I said, fine. I'll talk to her and then we'll see if she agrees. He said, no, that's not a problem. I can talk to her myself. I said, really? If you can talk to her yourself, then go and talk to her. But there's a problem, Suleman bhai. I said, what? You know, Suleman bhai, she's an atheist. I said, okay. So, I can't marry her. I said, why not? Now, he knows all Islam that pertains to him. I said, why not? He said, Suleman bhai, you can't marry an atheist. You can only marry a person of the book, right? I said, yeah, that's true. I said, Alhamdulillah, yaar, Mohsin, the problem has been resolved. Now you just relax, okay? No, Suleman bhai, please, yaar. I said, if you can't marry her, then what can I do? And he said, look, Suleman bhai, if you cannot make her a Muslim, can you at least make her a Christian? Suleman bhai. I said, what? You want me to become a Christian? You want me to make her a Christian? I said, do you think I have all of this time? And I got really upset. I said, get lost. I said, you guys are crazy. I said, I have nothing to do with this. Get out of here. So he left. That night, I'm sleeping and then this thought started to come to me. Mohsin Khan in beard. Mohsin Khan in the masjid. Mohsin Khan all reformed. Then I said to myself, you know, really, I should talk to Kim. If she can become a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim, whatever, at least Mohsin Khan will be in the masjid. So the next day, you know, somehow he had this feeling that I would melt. He looked at me and said, he's looking like this. I said, come here. Oh, he's so happy. So you will do something. I said, okay, I'll do something, so relax. I said, you start praying. Oh, I'll pray. From tonight, I'll pray. I said, okay, you start praying, I'll talk to her. So, now the rule was, we will do 2 rounds and the supervisor will do 1 round. Now we'll be walking out in this whole crazy snow, but the supervisor will come to the posts, ask every post everything is okay and then walk out. Now the good thing about this Kim was that she really used to respect me because, you know, the good thing in Americans is that if they feel that you are reserved and religious, they really respect you. That's one good thing in Americans, yeah? So once actually I've radioed her, Kim, I need some help. She came over. Yes, what happened? I said, Kim, I have to pray. She said, pray? We are going to be off at 6. Why don't you pray after 6? I said, no, Kim, listen, we have to pray before the sun rises. Oh, so what do I need to do? I said, no, you need to do nothing. You just stay here, give me just 5 minutes, I'll pray, and then you can go. Okay. So I prayed. So every night, she would make it a point to come to my post herself, Suleman, it's your time for prayers. And then what happened is winters came. So the prayer became after 6. And she showed up. It's your time for prayer. I said, no, Kim, hold it. Now the sun is rising after 6, I can pray after 6. Are you sure? Yeah. Okay. So she shows up again. Yes, Suleman. Okay, so what she would do is she would make her round at that time so that she gets 2 birds with the same stone, right? So she will visit me at a time when it's time for prayers. Yeah. So she doesn't have to. Poor girl comes. And that time was winters. Is everything okay, Suleman? I said, yes. Okay. As she was about to walk away, I said, Kim, can I ask you a question? Now, there is a verse of the Quran which says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu taqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida. O people of Iman, fear Allah and say the straight word. Qulu qawlan sadida. Say the straight word. So I said, let me just be straight with this girl. So I said, Kim, yes. So I must have been at that time 22. She must have been about 20, maybe 20, something like that, yeah. 19, something, 20 I think. So I said, Kim, can I ask you a question? She said, go ahead. I said, Kim, is it true that you are an atheist? She said, yes, I am. I said, why, Kim, are you an atheist? She says, because I have no proof that there is God. I said, Kim, the absence of proof of something cannot become a proof in itself of that thing's non-existence. Now, another good thing about Americans is that immediately responding is not considered an act of intelligence, like in Pakistan. In Pakistan, if you don't respond immediately, you are dumb. But the good thing about Americans is, because Americans have good and bad, and we have good and bad. So if I tell you some good things, that doesn't mean there's nothing bad. If I tell you some bad things about some nation, doesn't mean there's nothing good, okay? Let's be a little fair. The good thing about Americans is that if you answer immediately, then you are dumb. If you are thoughtful and think and then respond, it means you are intelligent. They appreciate you thinking. So you know how the American style is? So she stood like this. Okay, my parents always told me, you have to respect your seniors, people in authority, your teachers, and women. So the rule is, if a woman walks up to you, you respect her. So I always used to stand up when Kim would come. Because she's a woman, and then that's the Islamic framework. So I'm standing, and she's standing like this. She's thinking. And I'm thinking. And I'm praying that Mohsin doesn't show up. 4 a.m. in the morning. And imagine what the GO would have said. Kim, 4 a.m., Maulvi Saab, thinking. She must have thought for I don't know how long, like 3-4 minutes, she's very quiet thinking. Then she said, you know what? You are right. I cannot say for sure that there is no God. I said, Kim, you know what you should say? You should say, I don't know. She said, yeah. Actually, Suleman, I don't know. So I thought in my heart, wow. Now she has moved from being an atheist to being what? An agnostic. So agnostics, I'm going to take a few minutes to complete this story. So agnostics are people who say we don't know. So the moral of the story is that her ideology was not very sound because it could not withstand one argument given properly. Of course, the good thing was that there was a mutual respect, because she knew that I would not be teasing her, or maybe I'm not saying this out of disrespect. You understand? So that also helped. So, but if I was flirting with her, And I was doing this crazy stuff. Because if I was stealing from that cafeteria, that was public knowledge amongst the security officers. Everybody in the security knew what's happening. And what the American officers were doing, that they would do one round and write it down, they will not do the second round and they will say that they have done it. And they were telling me, Suleman, you should do that too. I said, I cannot do that. So sometimes I was amongst very few people who was doing the rounds and the Americans were not. And that was the day I realized the time for Muslims to rise has arrived. When an American is not doing rounds and I'm doing them, it means the tide is going to turn. For me, that was the beginning of hope. Because they are falling behind, right? So I'm doing the round and they are not. So if I was doing all of those crazy stuff, do you think Kim would have taken me so seriously? Then she said, Suleman, what do you believe in? And I thought to myself that if I start this discussion, she's the supervisor, she can stay there for an hour. And surely people will find out and there will be a whole mess. The stories that will come around. So I said, Kim, how about if we discuss this in the daytime? She said, yeah, sure, we'll discuss it in the daytime. So again, the conclusion is that she had an ideology, right? She had an ideology. But there's some elements in her ideology which were not correct. And one argument corrected them. Right? So in the next class is very critical, whenever we're going to have it. We're going to discuss in the next class, we're going to discuss in the next class that how different ideologies are forming systems and how whatever we are saying is actually not what we are saying, is actually those systems speaking, where we don't even realize that we are speaking the language of a system. So that will be shared with you in the next class. Okay, homework. You got all of that? Oh yeah, you don't have to worry, guys. Everything is being recorded, alhamdulillah. You can go into your YouTube and get the reference, whatever. Okay, homework. One is sharing. Two is your mentees or people that you're sharing with, you can invite them as a guest. But how? I'm only allowed to bring 3 or 4 people as guests, right? So what you do is, you send me an SMS, 0333 229 3100, and first come first serve basis. So I'll just get back to you saying yes or no. If it's yes, then you'll give me the name of the person and there may be car, number plate, whatever. So I'll tell them at the gate and they'll let them in. 3 is there's some reading that you have to do. Now, if you look at page number, remember I asked you to write your vision, remember? A 20-year vision? It was not on the manual, right? Was it in the manual? Yeah, it was, right? Or no? I don't ask you to write it in the manual, but I did ask you to write your vision. So that document that you wrote, if you look at that document or that page, you have written your vision, but do you think that vision has been written according to a framework? No. It has influences of a lot of systems in it, but there is not a clear framework. Now we are unfolding step by step a framework, so I would like you to read three case studies. Okay? From page number 70 to page number 101. Very carefully, page 70 to page 101. Okay? So there are two individual visions that have been written and one institutional vision. I want you to read them very carefully and take notes and also jot down your questions. Because once you use a framework, that is what will result. Now keep in mind that these three documents are real documents. They're not fictitious. And it so happens that all two documents especially, all three of them actually, happen to be from people who are religiously oriented. So you will see a lot of religious inclinations in that document. So inshallah, once the class will be over, you'll be writing your documents. I might actually borrow Priya's document and maybe taking your name out of it, make it a part of the manual. I don't want people to think that, it's only religious people who do this. Actually, anybody can use that framework and write. So you can also write from your religion's perspective, yeah? Because a lot of our Timelenders family members are actually from the Hindu religion, especially in the UAE. There's a huge group, yeah? And they've been after me to come to India. And I once almost decided to go. Mr. Suleman, India, needs you and you have to come. Then somebody told me that, if you go to India, Mr. Suleman, then all of your work with the Pakistan Army and Navy will stop. It's your choice. If you want to train Indians in India, then Pakistan Army is out. So that's why I did not go, because, of the situation. So you'll take notes and you will, and then we'll discuss these case studies in the next session. So thank you so very much. We have gone 6-7 minutes over time. So we'll give that time to you as a credit next time. So remind me, so I'll leave you off 6 minutes earlier. I didn't want to leave you hanging, okay? So thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. We'll see you inshallah in our next class.